Some stories are written in ink, others are whispered in the shadows of history. This is one of those stories. It's a tale of a treasure not made of gold or jewels, but of something far more precious: knowledge. Imagine a library, a vast collection of priceless manuscripts, original musical scores, and irreplaceable documents vanishing without a trace. It sounds like the plot of a blockbuster movie, but this is a real-life mystery. We're talking about the Berlinka collection, a ghost library that has haunted historians, governments, and treasure hunters for decades. It's an enigma wrapped in the chaos of war, a puzzle with missing pieces scattered across a continent. The question isn't just where it is, but what secrets its pages still hold. The trail begins in the heart of a fallen empire amidst the rubble and smoke of post-war Europe. As the dust settled, the world began to take stock of what was lost. Entire cities were gone. Millions of lives had been extinguished. And in the great libraries of Berlin, archivists made a chilling discovery. A huge section of their most prized possessions, the cultural soul of a nation, was simply gone. It wasn't burned, it wasn't catalogued as destroyed, it had evaporated, spirited away in the final, desperate days of World War II. This wasn't just a few misplaced books, this was a national treasure. A collection so significant its absence left a gaping hole in the fabric of history itself. This collection has a name that echoes with mystery: the Berlinka. To understand the scale of this disappearance, you have to picture what it contained. Handwritten scores, Mozart, Beethoven, the very paper Bach touched, the notes he himself inscribed, personal letters from Martin Luther. Every great treasure has an origin story, and the Berlinkas begins not with a map, but with a mission. The collection was born from the ambition of the Prussian state, a rising power in Europe. Think of it as a cultural arms race. Science, art, philosophy, starting in the 17th century, the electors and kings of Prussia wanted to prove their might not just on the battlefield, but in the halls of science, art, and philosophy. They began methodically acquiring the most important documents they could find, creating a repository of human genius. This wasn't just about hoarding old books, it was about building a national identity, a legacy that would echo through the ages. The Prussian State Library in Berlin was to be its fortress. Over centuries, this fortress of knowledge grew into a titan. Agents were dispatched across Europe, attending auctions, negotiating with monasteries, acquiring the private libraries of scholars and nobles. The collection swelled with incredible diversity. It held scientific treatises from Copernicus that reshaped our understanding of the universe. It contained the personal journals of famous explorers and the diplomatic correspondence that shaped the political map of the world. It was a living, breathing archive of human achievement, a testament to the power of the written word. The Berlinka wasn't just a German treasure, it was a world treasure, housed in the heart of Berlin. As the 1930s gave way to the 1940s, the world plunged into darkness. Bombs began to fall on Berlin, and the custodians of the Prussian State Library knew their kingdom of knowledge was in mortal danger. A single well-placed incendiary could turn centuries of history into a pile of ash. The decision was made to protect the collection at all costs. An evacuation plan was set in motion, a desperate gamble to save the irreplaceable soul of the library. The librarians became guardians, tasked with a secret mission to spirit their treasures away from the coming inferno. The operation was a logistical nightmare, conducted in secrecy and haste. The collection was immense, comprising hundreds of thousands of manuscripts, maps, and scores. They were carefully packed into more than 500 sturdy wooden crates. Think about that for a moment. 500 crates filled with the DNA of Western culture. Each crate was a time capsule, a precious cargo being sent into the unknown. The librarians, ordinary people turned heroes, worked frantically amidst air raid sirens and the growing chaos of a collapsing nation. Their goal was simple: get the Berlinka out of Berlin and hide it somewhere safe until the storm of war passed. The crates were loaded onto trains and trucks, their destinations kept top secret. They were sent to what were believed to be safe havens deep in the German countryside, castles, monasteries and salt mines far from the epicenters of the fighting. One of the primary destinations was a Benedictine monastery in Grussau, Silesia, a region that is now part of modern-day Poland. The war in Europe ended in May of 1945. A strange and unsettling silence fell over the continent. As nations began the painful process of rebuilding, they also started searching for what had been lost. They also started searching for what had been stolen. The Monument's men, a special Allied unit, fanned out across Germany, recovering troves of looted art. But when German librarians returned to the hiding places of the Berlinka, they were met with empty rooms and echoing silence. At the Grusow Monastery and other locations, the crates were gone. There were no records, no receipts, no official transfer orders. The treasure had simply vanished into the thick fog of post-war chaos. What happened? This is where the mystery deepens and the story splits into a dozen different theories. The most prominent theory points directly at the Soviet Union. As the Red Army advanced, they had special trophy brigades, whose job was to seize anything of value. Machinery, scientific research, and, of course, cultural treasures. The search for the Berlinka is a multi-generational obsession. It's a quest that has captivated a unique cast of characters, each driven by their own motives. First, you have the academics and historians, people like Dr. Władysław Bartoszewski, a Polish historian and former Auschwitz survivor who became a key figure in tracking the collection. For them, this isn't about money, it's about historical justice and cultural restitution. They spend their lives poring over shipping manifests, military dispatches, and declassified intelligence reports, searching for any clue, a name, a date, a location that could pinpoint where the crates ended up. And of course, you can't have a lost treasure without treasure hunters. These are the adventurers, the optimists, the people who believe that a forgotten cache is still out there. They are drawn to the romance and the thrill of the chase. Finally, there are the art lovers and the descendants of the great minds whose work is in the collection. The story took a dramatic turn during the Cold War. For decades, the Soviet Union flatly denied having any part of the Berlinka. The collection was officially listed as lost in the war, but behind the Iron Curtain, a secret was being kept. After the collapse of the USSR in 1991, Russian archives began to open up and the truth started to emerge. So, where does the story of the Berlinka stand today on September 25th, 2025? The bulk of the known collection remains in Russia and Poland. Minor exchanges, academic collaborations, yet the core of the dispute remains frozen. Bach, Beethoven, Mozart held in foreign libraries, carefully preserved, but out of public and scholarly reach. Catalogued and safe, but not home. The Great Ghost Library of Berlin. Empty shelves waiting for its soul. Yet the allure of the unknown still clings to the legend. A new generation of hunters is fueled by this question. Ground-penetrating radar reveals an anomaly near an old monastery. Each new lead reignites hope. The story may not be over.